And we are live. I take it we're live, Grace. Is that where we are today? All right. Hello, everybody. I am streaming from Davis's crib. Is that what the kids say? Is that what we're supposed to say? I'm streaming from Davis's crib up on the mountain, up here helping him do a little bit of stuff. And we are trying to map out Austrag in its entirety, not in super detail, but in its broader entirety so that we can kind of get started on some kind of approach to that. But my name is Stephen Chenault. I am the CEO of Troller Games, and this is Ask Me Anything. So if you guys have any questions about Kickstarters we're running, the Backer Kit campaign, projects we're working on, industry, tariffs, whatever's the hot button topic for the day, throw them in the chat, and I'll do my best to tackle them. Grace, do you think you can cue those up for me?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Chuck usually puts the questions in queue, and then just so I don't miss any.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yes, I can
No
certainly
problem.
do that.
Yeah, I've got the first one here. One of the things I'm doing up here is helping Davis rebuild a lot of his stuff so that some kind of order can enter into his universe. And see, Hallgrowth asks, CZ was a fun crowdfunding event, especially the overtime. What is your next crowdfunding event? And when do you expect it to launch? Hallgrowth, that was an absolute blast. I think we ran for 11 hours and 30 minutes, right at 12 hours, 11 hours and 30 minutes in overtime, and right at 12 hours for the whole stream because we started about 11:30, I think. That thing was absolutely nuts. It was a lot of fun. We're going to do some more of those. Grace and I've actually been talking about that in the past about doing a 24-hour streams, just to have a lot of fun with it. And I think getting Davis more and more loopy would just be, entertaining if, if nothing else would be a part of it. But our next crowdfunding, we're working on one I haven't pulled the trigger on yet. I'm going to keep the lids on that one, but we may do a short one coming up in May, late in May. I'll have more details on that probably about 2 weeks from now, give or take. But the next big one is going to be Barsoom. That'll be this summer, August, I'm guessing. And Barsoom is the world of John Carter, the planet of Mars, Edgar S. Burroughs' creation. And we're going to do an RPG for that. We've got the license for that. So that will be the next one. And we will definitely do that overtime for that one because that was just a hoot. That was just absolutely cool. But so that's theoretically how that's going to play out, with maybe one kind of jammed into the middle there. Tyler's in the house. How's it going, Tyler? How's everybody doing today? I hope you're. Oh, I just closed something. I'm on a foreign computer, so I can't quite figure out what's going on. I can't look at that. All right, there you go. All good. Sans any questions, I'll just start into a brief overview of all the Kickstarters that we have, and where we are on them, and what's coming in the near future. I can rattle on that for a little bit. We will be shutting down probably at about 5:15 today. We all got to scatter in various directions, but that is the current plan. So starting at the top, we've got, I think the oldest Kickstarter out there is the Exaltum and Infernum, and that's the one that's struggling the most. But the good news is, and Jason turned over the manuscript for Exaltum yesterday. I got into it this morning, kind of parsed through. We're missing about 10 items from it. He thinks he can have those done by Friday. And then that book will be, I'm going to have to go through it, clean up this, make sure, everything's squared away formatting wise for Finn, the editor, to get it. And then that book goes into editing. The next holdup on the Exaltum is going to be the art. However, we've brought on 2 new artists, got a third in the wings, and maybe a fourth that popped over in product support. So we've got a small bevy of people working on that project. So I'm confident that Exaltum will now start moving forward very, very quickly, catch up with Infernum. So in the next month or so, maybe we can get these guys to the printers so that we can call that done. A question, what can you tell us about Skyvault? Skyvault, I don't even know what Skyvault is. Should I know what Skyvault is? Red Owl Inn, that sounds vaguely familiar, but maybe I'm thinking of Skynet. If you can rattle my brain pan a little bit, I might be able to dive into that, though maybe not. And while you do that, Red Owl, next up, so a month or so, I'm hoping to get good solid copies of those books in your hands. Infernum and have a good idea of where Exultum's going to land. The Your pain but surviving hope. How's it going, Jay? I did not call you back. I need to give you a shout. I will try to do that tomorrow. Tonight, I'm caught up in too much. But are you still in the hospital? I assume, hopefully recovering. But I'm guessing the pain's going to be with you for at least a week or two until that. And well, you're home. That's good until your body adjusts to its new robotics or whatever whatever they're doing these days. So next up is the what do we got? Arms and Armor. We shipped. I'm not 100% certain, but I think it's right over 50% of those shipped out today. So those should be headed your way any day now. If you pledged for that and you have not paid your shipping, please check your email. We sent out shipping notifications not very long ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Hop in there and get your shipping paid so we can get it out and to you. I think we've shipped, like I said, about 50 of those. So Arms and Armor, the Adventurer's Armory, I should say. All of those books are done, headed your way. We will do a final PDF release early next week, get those to you. So that Kickstarter is about wrapped up and done. Should all be shipped out by probably, we're going to do it by Friday, but Dakota has to go to a convention in Tulsa, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to get these things out. So it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday at the latest, and for all of those kind of trickling in, from here to there. The Hermit is all shipped and gone. If you pledged for the Hermit and haven't got it, just reach out to us and we'll see where we are. If you didn't pay your shipping or you did pay your shipping, whatever. GFW series, the World Builders Archive, the formerly Gygaxian Fantasy Worlds Archive. That one, we are in layout for the Canting Crew, editing for the 4th book, Book of Names. Cover for the 6th book, Nation Builder. So it's moving along a little bit slower than I wanted, but it is. We are getting good movement, and I hope in the next 30 days or so to be able to deliver at least the PDF of the Canting Crew, so we can start getting those out to everybody that backed, and at least in the PDF format. So very excited about that. I think that's it on the Kickstarters, and then of course we've got the backer kit that closed out with an absolutely astounding 600,000 in pledges on Friday, I think it did. We ran an overtime campaign that ran through, like, I don't know, it was very late, like 11:30 at night or something. We finally shut it down. But yeah, so that work has begun on that one. The first thing we're going to do on that is get the Citadel over to Jeremy to reforge it. It's already Castles and Crusades. That's what Gary wrote it for. So we'll get Gary in there to reforge that sucker. And that'll take him, I don't know, probably a week or so, because there's a lot of NPCs in there. And once that is brought up to date, it'll go into editing and layout. So we will begin moving on the Citadel very, very fast. Upper Works will follow that because it's already written. And then Mike Stewart has turned over level 2 already. And that's already on my desk to be read, so he can get into level 3, and I will look into that. I've been meaning to look into it for about a week, but it'll be late tonight or probably tomorrow would be my guess. And so we're moving fast on all of these things, which is fantastic. Sorry, any information that you tell us about Alante, Myth of the Dwarves? Ah, yes. So that is from the world of Aird. What that is alluding to. So, Alante is a kingdom of the dwarves. There were 14 dwarven kingdoms, 13 dwarven kingdoms, and the 14th dwarven kingdoms is kind of those dwarves that drifted off and out on their own. They didn't have a homeland. And this is in the world of Aird, my creation, the sandbox, really, for Castles and Crusades. The Alante based very, very loosely on this concept of Atlantis. They were a seafaring dwarven people that lived in the Isles of Alante, and they built wondrous cities, wondrous ships. They explored the entire world of Aird, every nook and cranny of it, where their siblings delved into the earth and built these vast kingdoms underground. The Alante built them above ground, with huge skywalks, all kinds of stuff like this. They had, the rumor is they had flying ships. They succumbed to the Goblin Dwarf Wars, as most of the kingdoms do and did, and were eventually conquered, and the riches of their realm were scattered far and wide. Though some obviously were stolen and some were left there in the ruins of their cities. So ripe for adventure, for the dwarven glory that is. Let's see. I hope that answered that question a little bit. I played a couple, and for those of you who don't know, the World of Verde is on our site, the Codex Verde. You can just go scoop it up. It's a fantastic world setting. I think Grace does a Monday night reading for Aird all the time. It's a question. I played a couple scenarios at GaryCon from the Crusader Journal. Have you given any thought to publishing some collections of short adventures, some old, some new? Keep Dakota busy. Dakota is ridiculously busy. So that is always one of the things I like to do, which is to keep Dakota very, very busy. We are expanding into a new facility in the next 4 to 6 months, I think. So Dakota's workload is going to, in some ways, it'll decrease, but in many ways, it'll go up. So, so he's actually very excited about it because he's going to have his own brand new manufacturing facility that he gets to run and do do whatever he wants to do, which I guess has some value to it. As for compiling a lot of the old adventures, this is a conversation we have around here a lot. Davis has written easily, I would say, 51-page adventures. I've probably written another 21-page adventures, and they're just scattered all over the place. Some of them are part of Kickstarters. Some of them we did back in like 05, 6, 7. We did these one-shots, little $1 one-shots that we sold on Drive-Thru RPG and RPG Now. Those are still floating around somewhere. They were little orc encounters, if I recall, a whole bunch of orc encounters. It's been a hot minute since we've looked at those, but Davis was actually just talking about it about a week or two ago, maybe a week before GaryCon, about gathering all those up and putting them into one book. And I think that that's definitely on the table. As those of you may or may not know, Troller Games owns its own print shop, and we source paper locally, so we have ample opportunity to create all kinds of stuff that it's not very hard for us. But our printer backlog is huge at the moment. We're about 3,000 books behind where we need to be, and it's because of equipment, constant equipment crumbling and breaking around us. But it looks like we've mended most of that together, though there's some floating parts that we got to get in there and replace. But so as soon as we kind of get that backlog done, you'll see things like Bergman Outlandish, this book of one-shots, and other books like that start rolling back out and start fleshing the store back out, which will be absolutely fantastic. Sweet, is this the beginning of this week's 12-hour stream? Tome of the Great Raven. It is not. As much fun, actually, as that was. That was a lot of fun. And it was cool to watch all of the trolls keep their energy levels as high as they did for every for the entire 12 hours, that was just a lot of fun all the way around. But today's not. I've got a roast in, and it should be ready at about a little after 5. So we're gonna dive out of here at about 5:15. And Grace has a game tonight. She's running a one-shot for the. Are y'all? Is the whole thing called Briar and Patch, or is that just the campaign, Grace? Your
so
Tuesday.
Blood and Briar was the campaign.
Blood and Briar.
And then this one shot will be like a little sequel.
But it's the same crew, right?
That's yeah, that's right. It'll be the same crew, the Charisma Cats. It'll be a lot
the
of fun.
Charisma Cats.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So the Charisma Grace will be running the Charisma Cats tonight at 7 Eastern, 7 Central. 7
Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5
there
p.m.
we
Pacific.
Go. We really just need to go to one time zone. It would make life so much easier than all of this nonsense. Let's see what we got. Question from Alan. How's it going, Alan? I have not responded to your email. I do apologize for that. Last week has been absolutely insane, and I do hope you're feeling better. Will the new manufacturing facility include hardbacks? Not currently, not immediately, but we're putting enough space in there so that if we need to do that or want to do that, we can. We've got the equipment lined up, what we need and where to get it. It's in Georgia. Georgia the state, not Georgia the country. So it's all very doable. And I think the current plan is get this facility set up, get our soft covers running, get everything smoothed out, the warehousing side of all of that mess. And then as soon as we've kind of caught our breath from that, we're going to look into what would really take to expand into this hardcover business. And Dakota and I'll hop on an airplane or jump in the truck and go down to Atlanta and meet with these folks and see. I've already got a sales rep down there. We talk all the time, so kind of get a walkthrough to see what it's going to take to make sure that we can keep up the Smythe Stone binding and the quality and all of that stuff. So it's definitely on the table, but not in the immediate future. See, Manfred says one-page adventures are great, enough to let you run, not too much to lock you into a plot. They really are. I've borrowed so much from TSR modules over the years where I just snatch. Okay, this is kind of a cool concept. I'm going to run on it, and that's sort of what those one-pagers are about. Especially those orc adventures. It had some of Davis's he thematically ran together. Mine were all for devils and demons for Tome of the Unclean. But the orc ones, there's something unique about the orcs. I think they were just completely standalone little orc and maybe goblin encounters. I can't remember. Lots and lots of this mess. And the tornadoes you've got in Arkansas last week. Well, yeah, we've had a wild 10 days down here. We have been battered with tornadoes. I think who got it hit? Lake City got hit really hard. Diaz got hit. Cave City got hit. Marion got hit. Is it Marion? I think it's Marion. And Lake City is a great little town. And then, of course, last week we had a ginormous flood. Hardy got annihilated. Excuse me. So it's just been, I can't remember how much water fell, but it's a huge amount. With some friends of ours, cabins completely swept away. Lots and lots of mud everywhere. It's been an entertaining 2 weeks. I talked to one of the guys. I was up there the other day looking at some property that we have, and it was all covered in mud and house swamped and lots of damage. But I was talking to the guy from the electric company. They came out to pull wires off of houses and disconnect meter boxes and whatnot because they don't want to turn the power back on, and suddenly there's house fires in these ruined cabins and whatnot. And he said they have been nonstop since the tornadoes and the floods, just absolutely nonstop for 3 weeks, trying to just keep power on. It's kind of very interesting when you think about, the whole infrastructure that keeps the modern world going, and a couple of natural disasters turns all that wire into recycling, I guess. Lore Pastor, what was the name of the book about the lore of your world, brother? Codex of Erd. You can go to the store and find that there. There's the Codex of Erd. There's the Monsters and Treasures of Erd. Those are the big game books. But if you want kind of just a quick surface dive into it, there's the Trail Guide to Erd, which is, I don't know if Davis has one of those around here. He does not. There's the Trail Guide to Erd, which is really a couple of 100 pages, science fiction, fantasy novel size book that it's the adventures of one individual as he wanders around the lands of Ursel in the world of Erd, making notes for his the bishop who is his master, who's his employer, so that the bishop will know more about the world. So the Trail Guide to Erd is a great intro to it. Let's see, what time zone? My vote is Central. Yes, always Central, Tyler. Always Central. Any plans to make more monster books? Yeah, so we'll finish these 2 that we got, Exaltum and Infernum. Those obviously are the ones that we want to get out the most. But there's a dragon book that's being constantly talked about. What was the other one? There's another one in there. Oh, and the Book of Fae is on the table. We removed a lot of Fae from the monster book. And hello, dog. We moved a lot of Fae from the monster book. And what I'd like to do is I absolutely love using Fae in my game. I absolutely love it. But I want to reintroduce those, not necessarily as monsters that you would encounter on random whatevers, but as individual monsters themselves. Like, the Demogorgon is an individual monster with a name and a history and a background. That's what I'd like to do with these fairies. I would like each one. Now, some, of course, you can't, but a lot of them, like, this is the witch that guards such and such. Come on, Bo. Come on. Joe. This is Davis's hound. Can you see that? Can you see goat? There's goat. There's old goat. Go get me a rock. Go get a rock. Go. He's in for a penny now. But yeah, so the Book of Fae, a Book of Dragons would be very, very cool, and those are definitely on the hopper But we got a couple of things we got to pass through first. I'm reading the code to the moment. It's awesome. Thank you, Alan. Glad you're enjoying it. I was looking at the Andanuth too. So the Andanuth, it's probably on sale. The Andanuth is the fiction. It's the history. It's kind of like a Silmarillion-esque book. It is the first half, actually, in the current Codex Verde. It's the second half of the Codex Verde. That's the Andanuth, but the Andanuth is actually the dwarven oath that the dwarves made to the All-Father to go forth and to create and to do something in his honor. So that's the Andanuth is the oath of the dwarves. But that's also the title of the history of the world of Erd. And dwarves kind of kicked everything off in the world of Erd. The original goat, yes, he is. He is the original goat. Why? Yeah, okay, there you go, Crank Grace. Grace, I think I just answered that. But yes, it's one of the most humorous encounters that the Allfather spends many centuries. No one knows however long he spent creating, and he finally created dwarves, which is what he had in mind. And when he gets them, he's done with them. He sets them aside, and he's like, "Great, I finished this." And he's starting his next project. The dwarves don't know what to do. They're standing there in their multitude, and they just, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you going? What's going on?" And the dwarves in their multitude, they're just standing there, and one of their numbers, reaches out to the Allfather and says, "What is it we're supposed to do?" And he just looks at them and smiles, and he goes back to his forge. Well, the dwarves take that as, that's the Allfather's silence means that we must go forth and do as he does, and to create and to fashion things in this world, whether it's something iron or something, forged upon the forgers, or an act of good or what have you. So this is begins. But you're actually back the etymology of the word Andanuth. I actually have a dwarven dictionary that word's built off of, and I can't at the moment remember what Andanuth means. I want to say promise is in there, or oath is part of that. But that dictionary is about 40 odd pages long, and it's dwarven to English and English to dwarven. With some very, very poorly written grammar rules at the end of it. But it's what I base. So all of the names, I shouldn't say all, most of the nomenclature in the world of Erd, and anything in the world of Erd post probably 2010, 2012, somewhere around in there, is going to be something derived from this dwarven dictionary. The dwarves in the world of Erd, they were the first of the peoples to go forth and start creating kingdoms and written languages and all of these things sooner than the trolls or the giants or the gnomes or the halflings or anyone else, the humans included. So dwarf is the root of all the languages, and they're called the folks languages. So human, gnome, dwarf. There's a couple others in there that are escaping me. I don't have a Codex Verde in front of me. And there's other languages that come, other language groups. Elven is its own language group. Unglarglish is its own language group. But dwarf is kind of the root of everything. So if you're giants are the other. So if you're a giant and a dwarf and a human and a gnome, you're all kind of speaking the same language with different dialects. And that's why giants can understand anything dwarfs say, and dwarfs can understand things most humans say. That's the Vulgate is that kind of common language of all. Question: are y'all planning on doing any monster shorts, little short scenarios featuring a blank? Thought y'all had done that in the past. We have, Heath, and that's one of the things we were talking about a little bit earlier. We would love to get these one shots up and out. We've got, I don't know, 50 or 60 of them or something like that. We'd love to get those out, because a lot of them, especially the ones I wrote, were specifically highlighting, they're specifically written for a monster from Tome of the Unclean. So this is the, whatever, the Vrock, and here's an encounter for the Vrock, so you can dive right into it. We would absolutely love to do that. And it's definitely on the docket, but not in the immediate future. We got a couple of things we got to knock together before we kind of branch out into that. But the real holdup is the print shop. We just backlogged so much in the print shop that getting these things out. Of course, we get them out as PDFs, I suppose. It's not a bad idea. Just rolling the PDFs out. Can they understand Arkansas dialect? No, probably not. my phone certainly cannot understand Arkansas dialect at all. It drives me absolutely insane with its inability to to write down what I dictate. Drives me a little bit, just a little bit batty. Has there been a book of dwarves and their history? There has not. some of those books from the TSR days back in the 1980s. What were those things called? They had the Book of Dwarves. Davis had orcs, I remember, and it's just a whole kind of discussion of this particular group. I would absolutely love to do something like that. Get some really good art in there that kind of highlights what these creatures look like. For instance, the dwarves. Peter and I were arguing about this the other day. Um, he actually sent me over the sketch of it. He's doing a dwarven. What is he? What is it? What is the class he's working on? Forsworn, a dwarven forsworn, female dwarven forsworn, and it looks really cool. But I told him, I said, when you do this, I don't want them to look like the Warhammer 40K big thick dwarf. The whole just block, the block of dwarf. I don't want a block of dwarf. They need to be unique, but they also need to be muscular and human looking in that regard, not in that kind of comical oversized chest and tiny legs and whatever it is. Yeah, the complete guide too. Yeah, those I love those things. I thought that was my type of content when TSR was doing it because it was just filled with all kinds of interesting. And even if I didn't, use most of it, it's interesting ideas. Oh, cool. Blah blah blah. I can do this. I can do that. Yeah, I absolutely love the complete books of. Was that the Vikings? Did they have a complete book of Vikings? I think that one was, if I remember, it was green, if I recall. I had that one too. We do have a player's guide to Aired. Now, I don't know, I've partially gutted that book and sent some of the content over to the Adventures spell book. And then the classes, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those classes just yet. There's a couple of ideas floating, but we may rejuvenate, no, resurrect. We may resurrect the Player's Guide to Air. We'll see. But I'd have to conjure some material that needs to go in there. Sure, there's plenty of it all over the place to kind of flesh around. But because currently that book, I think you can get that book on Drive Through RPG. I think I'm not going to swear to that, but I'm pretty sure you can. I see Vikings armor, castles, and various others. Yeah, the Vikings book I really enjoyed. There was also a book of dwarves that I swear came from an English public. White Dwarf. Did White Dwarf magazine do any of that type of stuff? Did they do any RPG books outside of the magazine? I swear there was this dwarven thing that wasn't the complete guide to, because the complete guides to had no art, right? It was just this kind of leather-like book with the symbol on the front of it. But somewhere in the back of my head, there's this book of dwarves that had, I don't know, was it Warhammer? I can't remember. It's probably in one of these piles of stuff behind me. Something. Were half dwarves possible in AD&D? I never allowed it. No, I don't even like half orcs, to be honest with you. Yes, green. So the Vikings was green. So my memory isn't completely. No, Alan, it would have been back in the 80s. This would have gone way back. It's got to be that Warhammer FRPG. That's got to be it. Coop Waffles. I think because Davis was a big Warhammer guy. In the 80s, I shifted into AD&D. I stayed in AD&D. I started with OD&D or whatever it's called. Went to AD&D and just stayed there until Castles and Crusades came out. But Davis played all kinds of games, and I know he played Warhammer. I will bet you that's what I'm thinking. Some kind of call. That's it, King Kothor. Jeremy, I think you're right. Dwarves by Mayfair Games. That sounds right. Maybe it's the Warhammer thing, but that sounds very, very right. I can see the cover. I guarantee you it's somewhere. We actually purchased Davis a couple of bookshelves today. I don't know if you guys have followed his bookshelf travail. What are you doing? Come on. I don't know if you followed he built a bookshelf out of bricks and boards, and it fell on him. So his books are all over God's creation. So we went to town and we just bought some bookshelves. So we will begin stacking that stuff up. White Dwarf did a few different books in addition to the magazines. I saw a list a few days ago. White Dwarf was a good magazine. It was just a very good magazine. It's been a million years since I've looked at it, but I do remember that it was just a good magazine. Which IRC had an Elmore cover. I see that it has three wild-looking dwarves standing next to one another with jeweled sheaths and colorful clothes. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's what's it called, Dwarves by Mayfair Games. Hop down just a little bit. That sounds so very familiar. This dog. This dog is half feral. Well, Davis is half feral, so that tracks. No, that wasn't it. That's crazy. That's not the one I remember. I don't know what I'm thinking of, man. Um, my tiny brain has conjured some memory from its long ago days, but maybe there was a different version. Jeff Gordon, that's possible. Maybe it was a World War. I'm going to ask Davis about that. He's somewhere wandering around here. It's good stuff, though. It's good content. And that's kind of, as a gamer, that's kind of how I am. I'll buy just about anything, or mostly take Davis's stuff, and just rob the living crap out of it. This is very cool. Get it and go. It has 2 covers pairs. Let's see, YouTube. How's it going? Cassiopeia Nebula, complete book of dwarves. Yeah, I think that was the TSR version. I definitely had that. I had a lot of those complete books. I remember using the Viking book, probably the most would be my guess. Besides dwarves and whatever Mayfair Fair Games is doing back in 1980s. Any other questions? Have you and Davis had a DNA test? Might want to. you know, with Davis is strange. With Davis is strange birth. What are you doing with his strange birth story? God, this dog smells so bad. He's just an outside dog. At least he hasn't rubbed in. He frequently kills squirrels or whatever, God knows, mice and whatever, and he rolls in them pretty good. So frequently he's got a nice smell to him. And now he just wants some attention. Dwarf Player's Guide to Warhammer Fan. That's gotta be it. That sounds so familiar, Red Outland. Let me see if this hound will let me. Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. Gave him some. Oh, hey, blah 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 blah. All right, let's see. At least he's not attacking me. Red, my dog would be jumping all over me, having it. You can't see him; he's just off screen, but he's standing right here on my arm. God, stupid dog. Let's see, what was that called? I want to put that into. Hello, dog. Poor lonely dog. Let me see. Paste this. Poor lonely dog. He sleeps with Davis all the time. Davis fell asleep in the chair last night. No, that's not it either. I don't know what is in my brain pan. Some strange, distant memory from the woebegone days. Was there an orc book? Maybe I'm thinking of the orc book. Did they have? He's pushing my arm up. He doesn't want me to stop. Jesus Christ. I guess I'm just going to pet the dog for the rest of the stream. There is a non-TTRPG book, Kingdom of the Dwarves by Rob Walsh. That could be it. Apparently there's been, yeah, it's history. he's got it. What are you doing? His dog is built like a smokehouse. All he does is run and carry giant rocks around. All right, God, you stink. Can you get up here? Jump all the way up. Can you get all the way up? Can you? Nah, you're too. Davis doesn't let it get. You're too heavy. Lord of mercy. Complete book of humanoids. I'm going to have to do some research after the stream to jostle loose whatever is floating around. Warhammer armies, dwarfs. How that could be it. No, let's see. Let me look at that guy up. War. No, that's not it either. I have no idea, guys. I think I'm losing my mind. Who knows? The first image is Warhammer Dwarfs book. Dragons got a lot of it. I don't know. It's very interesting. There was a lot of that content in the 80s, too. A huge amount of that content. Just like today, just like during the D20 era. But I would love to see TLG put some resources into that. I think those kind of books are just, they're good. They're helpful all the way around, whether it's dragons or dwarves or humanoids or orcs or whatever you want to do. I think it would be good stuff. I'd love to see that stuff. Not currently on the docket, but not an impossible task. We are actually moving through very rapidly back projects, which is nice, and we can get looking forward to getting some stuff back out that hasn't been out for a while. Jeremy's working on the Companions book, Guilds and Orders. That's saw kind of a debut, but it was not in its full form. It's about ready. I've made some amazing progress on what the hell am I working on? The Watershed, the Saline Watershed, which is the next Erdian book. Tinkered with Alfstrag yesterday for quite a bit, so that's nice. Dave's not going to be trying to map out kind of what the cutaway for Alfstrag, so we get a better handle of what we're going to be doing going forward. Lots of stuff is finally kind of moving forward now that we're through the reforged, the reforged era and removing the open gaming license. Did the Armory books start shipping? They did, MJ Cook. We have shipped about half of those who have paid their shipping. They are out the door. Now, a good 100 or so people have not paid their shipping, so we're going to do another call out on Monday. I've told Dakota I want him to get all of these shipped and out the door before we do a second call out, just so that everybody who's paid, those things are out. So if you paid your shipping, it should be rolling out in the next 2 days. A bunch have already gone out. I think about 70, 80 were taken to the post office today and yesterday. And by, what is today? Tuesday. By Thursday, the rest of the ones that have paid will have shipped as well. Let's see. I got a really nice one on that. Blah, blah, blah. How's the rent in Alfstrag? It is horrible. Actually, you can find plenty of free housing in Alfstrag. Half of it is burned out and abandoned. Your neighbors might not be the friendly neighbors that you really want, but there's plenty of room in Alfstrag. Come one and come all. What can you tell us about Unclay Naiad Archipelago? So Unclay Naiad is actually the continent that is south of the mainland, the Greenlands, and the whole kind of cultural ethos that is down in that continent is Mesoamerican and South American. The Mayan and the Aztec, this type of stuff, with the highly colorful societies, the tattoos, the whole thing that goes with it. If you ever watched Apocalypto, that is a fantastic version of what life would be like down in Unclay Naiad. And I know that Chuck is leaning pretty heavy into that in his own games, but the stark beauty of that of those cultures, that's the way I see that continent and the peoples that live down there. And there is something else, and maybe it's because green is my favorite color, but green and orange, but the jade, I don't know, all of that stuff. It's just very, very cool. I really don't know much about Mesoamerican cultures and societies. I've read a whole lot about the Plains Indians and the Plains Native Americans and Southwest, the Apache and the Navajo and all of that stuff. But I never really kind of delved into the larger civilizations to the south. The Plains, the warriors of the Plains were always my thing. Is aired your homebrew from when you first started playing? So when I first started playing, it was random nothingness, and then I got the Greyhawk Folio back in like 1980. I took it from Davis, my brother, and when I got the Folio, I began running Greyhawk games, and I was just a huge Greyhawk fan, and I ran Greyhawk through till I got out of the Army in '93. So when I joined the Army in '91. I spent several years kind of recrafting everything, and I created my own world of Aird so that when I picked up gaming again when I got out of service, it was the world of Aird at that point. So that's going to be, so we're 21 years into Aird. I think that my homebrew has become TLG's sandbox. I'm so sorry about the flood in the cabin. It was great how you kept your sense of humor with your wife and Dr. Pepper Snow stuff. Man, that was hilarious. The flood wasn't that hilarious. I'm kind of there's nothing. There's literally nothing. When it's water or tornadoes, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can sandbag a little bit, but the cabin was 5 feet. It wasn't underwater, but I had 5 feet of water in the cabin. Coated everything in mud, destroyed all kinds of stuff. The funny thing is, and I thought Kathy was going to strangle me as soon as Tim texted and said, hey, he sent me a picture of the water line on the side of the cabin. And Tim's a friend of mine, lives up there, he used to work for TLG. And the first thing I said was, oh shit, my blanket. So back in the early days of Troll Lord Games, I stopped. I swear it was Navajo. It's been so many years. It's going to be like 2001, maybe 2002. And Kathy and I didn't have any money. We had nothing. I was driving that beat-up pickup truck, and we were going to GTS, the Gammon Trade Show, and I stopped in this, shop alongside of the road. I'm pretty sure it was in New Mexico. Arizona, and I think it was the Navajo, but I can't remember anymore. and I found this blanket, this hand woven blanket, this blue, beautiful, with these beautiful symbols in it. And we paid way. Actually, we didn't know cell phones in those days. And I called Kathy and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I spend $350 for this blanket?" And she's like, she always says, I don't care what you do. Do whatever you want to do. So I spent it, and of course I put it on a credit card, which I would have probably paid 12,000 for it or whatever, stupid interest rates. But I've had that blanket forever, and it is literally the warmest blanket. It's so heavy. It is so cool. It is. You can wrap yourself in this blanket, and then kind of sit down, and the blanket is so thick that it won't fall on you. I mean, you can kind of sit there with hardly touching the blanket. It's absolutely astounding. It's gigantic, huge, and it had been in the cabin because I get so cold and I wrap up in that thing because it keeps me warm. I mean, your body heat will not escape that. It will not escape. But the very first thing I thought of when the cabin, I'm blanket. We got to get up there right now. So we went up when we found out Thursday, and we went up Friday morning. And the first thing I did was kick the door in and go immediately to the cedar chest and get the blanket out. I hung it out. It got submerged. It was in the chest, so it didn't get very much mud on it, which was cool. But man, it stinks something fierce. But when I got up here on the mountain with Davis, I hung it out on the line and it hung it out for about 20 hours, and it smells fantastic. It got all the smell out. So, but yeah, thank you for that. For those of you who don't know, I have a tiny little cabin up in the mountains, and it got 5 feet of water in it. Pretty much everything was destroyed. Furniture was destroyed. Um, the river crest, we're really high up. It crested at 23 feet, I think is what they said. And what Agile Monk is alluding to, and you can, I think Grace put this on our Troller Games Twitter feed. My wife bought this this dumbass stump, this huge cedar stump. And she was so proud of that stump, and I was just making fun of her paying money for a stump. I said, "This is just, what are we going to get out of this?" But we rolled that stump out onto the porch, and it sits between our two chairs where we sit. And it's become the drinking stump. Her coffee or my Dr. Pepper's on that stump all the time. And when I got it, I would clean the porch out. The porch was covered in debris. One of our chairs was still there. One of them had floated off. I found it off in the brush, not too far off. And then when it all cleaned up, I sat down to take a break. I said, "Kathy, come out, sit down." We sat down, and I turned around, and I realized the stump wasn't there. And I started looking around, where's the stump? And she went, "The stump's gone." And then we were floored because it's so heavy. And that means that water, I don't know if Grace put the pictures up or not. So that porch is, I don't know, 20 feet off the ground, and then another 3 feet of the railing. Now that stump floated up and over the railing and off and down, a couple of neighbors down. So she immediately left the house and went looking for the stump to see if she could find it. And she found it. I went down there, and there's no way I could pick it up. We didn't have a hand truck or anything like that. So a little trolley, the dolly thing. So I rolled that stump back to back to the house, through all the mud, and up into the porch, and it has returned to its place. Yeah, so now I can sit in amongst the wreck and ruin of our of our cabin and have a Dr. Pepper.
I've got to get the rest of those like muddy pictures up because you send pictures of like the floor and how it's covered in mud and all that shit. That's nuts.
Oh, it was nuts. I mean, it was a mess. And it was the weird thing, that mud was maybe, I don't know, half an inch thick or something like that. And it was so sticky.
Ooh.
I mean, it was just, you would walk through it and your boots kind of stick. And some of them, I think you can see my boot prints because it would stick to the boot so well, it almost pull it off the floor. So yeah, it was, all the upholstery furniture was destroyed. Clothes were soaked. A lot of the sheets were destroyed. Our favorite pair of sheets, Kathy's been boiling them in vinegar and something else and something else. I can't get the mud stains out of it. It's a mess. But though we've fared much better. I've always had a good sense of whatever about these things, but down the creek a ways where the river really hit, the devastation was mind numbing. I mean, cabins lifted up off of pylons and floated away. Clearly, canoes turned into missiles. It was just absolutely nuts.
Water damage is just really no joke.
It is, and there's literally nothing you can do. I mean, there's no, yeah. I mean, that's one of those houses was on, I think it was 8 or 10 concrete pylons about that thick, and those pylons were rebarred into a concrete pad. All of them were knocked off. The rebar was bent, and the concrete pylons are kind of scattered all over the place, and they were probably about 14 feet up, and the cabin was crashed into the next cabin, and it's just there's nothing you can do. It's like a tornado. There's not if a tornado hits your house, just it. You're not. There's no preparation for it. I mean, there's no. I'm going to get ready for this. Best thing to do is get underground and hope for the best. And if there's water coming, just get out of the way because you're not going to get them.
We are about at that time. Do we have any like last minute questions, or are you about ready to get out of here?
This stuff is like the table between Archie and Edith. Yes, Tyler, it is. Yeah. Any last questions? See, we got one Savage. Is that the cabin you filmed the post-apocalypse? No, it is not. That cabin is owned by a friend of mine out somewhere in West Little Rock. Really cool little place. And we're talking about those videos again, me and old Matt. So maybe in the near future we'll see something. I do need Manfred. Yes, my roast should be about ready about now. So it needs to come out, and I need to sit in front of it so that I can eat because I love to eat roast. All right, so I don't think we have any more questions. I want to thank everybody. Go ahead, Grace.
No, I was just saying in agreement. Like, yeah, I don't think so either. That's all.
Okay. With all of that, I want to thank you all for coming out this afternoon. I love this Q&A session. It actually allows me to kind of reorder my mind about where we are on things so that tomorrow I can go, okay, this is where we are. So this is tonight is roast, not a cheeseburger. I've had so many cheeseburgers lately. Even I'm getting a little tired of cheeseburgers.
That's saying something.
That is definitely saying something. Yes, you cannot beat Mother Nature when she's moving. Just take cover because there's nothing you're gonna do.
Well, I think yes. We'll go ahead and like toss a raid to a channel called Monument Hobbies. Looks like they're doing some mini painting.
Sounds good.
There's no raid, there is a raid. There's no raffle tonight because Chuck's not here. Wish Chuck everybody. We love you, Chuck. Miss you, friend.
Thank you all for coming out. Take it easy. Y'all have a great rest of your week.
Trolls are.
Trolls are.